Machiavelli never told you to feel nothing. He never claimed that emotions were weaknesses. But what he made clear with the precision of a scalpel was this: if you can't control your emotions, someone else will, and the moment that happens, you lose power. In a world obsessed with being real and speaking your truth, emotional detachment may seem cold, even cruel, but Machiavelli knew better. He knew that if you want to rule in business, relationships, politics, or life, you must learn how to detach before you decide and dominate without appearing, say, cold. This is emotional mastery, not numbness, but weaponized calm, not avoidance, but control. Let's begin. The first law: never let emotion choose for you. Most people believe their emotions are sacred. They cry, scream, rage, retreat, and call it authenticity. But in Machiavellian terms, this is how you invite control. This is how you signal vulnerability to those who know how to exploit it. Because once someone learns what makes you angry, what makes you jealous, what breaks you, they don't need to overpower you. They just need to push the right emotional button. Machiavelli would say the one who knows how to guide emotions without being guided by them becomes untouchable. So the first step to emotional mastery is this: you separate the emotion from the decision. You can feel anger, but you delay action. You can feel fear, but you plan from logic. You don't react, you respond. You build a delay between impulse and action. Even just a pause, a breath, a moment of stillness gives you leverage. The moment you don't need to immediately act on your feelings is the moment you stop being a slave to them. You become unreadable. When others lash out, you observe. When others panic, you analyze. People fear what they can't predict, and emotional stillness becomes your shield. This doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means using it strategically, like a blade you draw only when it gives you the advantage. The second law, detachment, is not coldness. It's clarity. There's a lie, people believe that if you detach, you stop caring. That's false. In fact, emotional detachment allows you to care better, with precision, not chaos. Think of it like this: the man who's emotionally attached to the outcome will panic when things go wrong. The detached man stays focused. He adjusts, recalculates, survives. Machiavelli believed the ruler must remain clear-headed even when his nation burns. Why? Because emotion blurs. Vision and power requires clarity. If you want to detach and dominate, train yourself to observe emotions like weather, not identity. You're not angry. You're experiencing anger. You're not sad. You're watching sadness. This separation lets you steer the ship instead of being tossed by the waves. Zoom out of the moment. What feels personal now might be strategic later. What feels like loss might open the door to greater gain. Detachment helps you see the bigger game and makes you harder to manipulate. Let go of emotional entitlement. You're not owed fairness. You're not owed love. You're not owed recognition. The sooner you stop expecting the world to feed your feelings, the sooner you become immune to disappointment. This is the Machiavellian truth. Clarity beats emotion, and detachment gives you clarity others will never have. The third law, the one who shows less emotion controls the one who shows more. Here is where emotional mastery turns into domination. People don't like to admit it, but it's true. Whoever controls the emotional tempo controls the room. Machiavelli would smile at this dynamic. A person who explodes with anger becomes predictable. A person who overexpresses affection becomes exposed. A person who argues out of pain becomes controllable. But the emotionally restrained person, they become the mirror. Others reflect their own emotions off them and fall into psychological traps of their own making. Here's how this law plays out. When someone yells, you remain calm. Your stillness makes them feel foolish. And more importantly, you now look like the one in control. When someone loves too fast, you slow things down. They begin to chase. Your emotional neutrality becomes mystery, and mystery always holds power. You provoke emotions without showing your own. In arguments, you ask questions. In seduction, you create distance. In leadership, you remain composed. You let others reveal themselves while you remain untouched. This is psychological leverage, and the person who can remain emotionally still in a room full of storms becomes the axis around which others spin. The destined fourth law. Emotional distance creates magnetic pull. Here's a paradox you must learn. The more emotionally attached you seem, the less people value you. There's more detached you appear, the more they try to win you. Machiavelli knew that the prince who clings appears weak, but the one who withholds affection, who moves with indifference, creates an aura of self-sufficiency. And nothing is more attractive than someone who doesn't need you. So how do you use emotional detachment to attract rather than repel? You respond but never chase. You let people speak but don't overexpress. You let them come close, but you never overinvest. They start to question, why aren't you trying harder? You leave space for imagination. Emotionally expressive people reveal everything. You reveal little, so they begin to project. They see depth where there's silence. They see mystery where there's restraint. You withhold validation while others hand out approval to everyone. You're selective, and what is scarce becomes valuable. People begin to seek your attention like oxygen. This is why detachment doesn't kill attraction. It creates it. The cold. Man is not heartless. He is hard to earn, and people always crave what feels just out of reach. Machiavelli never trusted appearances. To him, a calm smile could hide a dagger. A trembling voice could hide manipulation. And most dangerously, an emotional outburst could be nothing more than theater. That's why emotional mastery was essential in his world. Not because emotions are useless, but because uncontrolled emotion makes you predictable, and predictable people can be broken. Detachment is only half the game. The other half is knowing how to leverage other people's emotions while remaining untouched yourself. The fifth law, master the art of emotional mirroring. He who seeks to deceive will always find someone who will allow himself to be deceived. People trust those who reflect their emotional state. They assume if this person feels what I feel, they must understand me. If they understand me, I can trust them. This is where your detachment becomes a disguise. You learn to mirror emotion, not because you're feeling it, but because you know people open up when they see themselves in you. Here's how to use emotional mirroring with Machiavellian precision. Match tone, but not intensity. If someone is slightly angry, you nod and respond with calm agreement. Not the same fury, but enough emotion to make them feel heard. Use language that reflects their fears or desires. If someone's afraid of being overlooked, emphasize how important they are. If someone's angry about being wronged, mirror their outrage just enough to gain trust. Never fully adopt their emotional state. Mirroring is a tool, not a transformation. You remain centered even as you play the part they need you to play. This makes people disarm themselves. They believe you're with them emotionally aligned, and that illusion makes them easier to guide, influence, and control. The sixth law, use emotional outbursts to your advantage. Most people see anger, sadness, or panic as distractions, but The Machiavellian mind sees them as opportunities. Because here's the truth. When someone loses emotional control, they expose their inner world. This is when their true motives slip out, their real insecurities, their pressure, points, their hidden agendas. If you remain detached while others unravel, emotionally, you gain more than power. You gain X-ray vision into their psyche. Here's how to exploit this dynamic. Let people talk when they're angry. The more they speak, the more they reveal. You say little, you listen, and you file it all away. Watch for contradictions. Emotional outbursts often reveal hypocrisy. If someone's defending themselves too hard, it usually means they're guilty. Use their behavior to discredit them. In a room full of chaos, the one who remains composed becomes the anchor. Others start seeing the emotional person as irrational and you as the rational alternative. Machiavelli would say, never silence the fool. Let him speak, for in his noise he hands you the tools to destroy him. The seventh law, appear to feel, but choose with logic. Emotional mastery is not about appearing robotic. It's about being, calculating beneath the illusion of warmth. People don't trust those who seem too cold, but they worship those who seem warm yet remain powerful. This is your mask. You appear kind, expressive, even passionate. But behind the scenes, your decisions are entirely strategic. In negotiation, show empathy, but make the deal based on leverage. I completely understand where you're coming from, followed by a ruthless counter offer. In relationships, show care, but never lose yourself. You give love, but you never beg. You listen deeply, but never sacrifice your own standards. That balance makes people cling to you because you're emotionally accessible, but never needy. Publicly feel, privately think, appear, emotionally invested to gain trust. But let your real loyalty belong to the plan, not to any person. This is how you disarm without surrendering. People feel close to you even as you remain untouchable. The eighth law, train your nervous system like a weapon. Here's where emotional mastery becomes physical. People assume emotions are mental, but they forget your nervous system is your battlefield. When you're attacked, criticized, rejected, your body wants to react. It speeds up, it shakes, it tightens. But this is what gives you away. So Machiavellian control, begins at the somatic level. To what dominate, you must train your body to remain composed even when every part of you wants to react. Here's how. Practice. Controlled stillness in moments of tension. Don't move. Don't fidget. Stay motionless. This conditions your system to stay calm under pressure. Use breath as a weapon. Slow, deliberate breathing keeps your voice steady and your thoughts clear even in chaos. Rehearse emotional attacks in advance. Visualize scenarios where someone insults, betrays, or humiliates you. Then, rehearse your non-reaction. Over time, your body learns that panic is optional. When your physical reactions are invisible, you become impossible to read, and unreadable people are unconquerable. The ninth law, emotional consistency, builds authority. No key. Unpredictable emotion makes people feel unsafe. One day you're calm, the next you explode. This inconsistency kills respect. But when your emotional state is predictably calm, measured, and disciplined, people feel something far more powerful. They feel Machiavelli observed that kings who panicked lost armies, but those who remained composed, even in chaos, inspired unbreakable loyalty. Here's how to build this. 1. Emotional consistency. Create emotional boundaries. No one should be able to drag you into chaos just because they feel chaos. Your stability must remain yours. Anchor your identity in logic, not feelings. I am the kind of person who stays calm under pressure. Repeat that often enough and it becomes true. Not just mentally, but biologically. Make neutrality your home state. Joy, anger, sadness, they come and go. But your baseline is unshaken. People start relying on that consistency like oxygen. Once others see you as the emotional constant in their lives, they begin to submit to your frame, your pace, your rules, often without realizing it. Machiavelli wasn't just about controlling himself. He was about controlling others. True power doesn't lie in resisting emotions. It lies in commanding the emotions of others while remaining emotionally sovereign. This is where emotional mastery becomes dangerous. This is where detachment turns into dominance. The 10th law: control the emotional climate of the poor room. The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of the vulgar. Most people enter a room and absorb its emotional tone. You set it, because when you control the emotional energy of the environment, you automatically become the reference point. You don't follow the tempo. You set it and others adjust themselves to you. Here's how to apply this law. Bring stillness into chaos. When people are arguing, panicking, or flailing, you speak slowly, look directly, and say loud less. Everyone starts recalibrating around you. Bring intensity into the apathy. When a room is quiet or disengaged, you inject a single sharp insight, just enough to wake people up. They follow you because they crave feeling something. Use emotional contrast. Be colder than their anger. Be warmer than their hesitation. By emotionally opposing the group, you become magnetic. People start aligning with you without realizing it. Machiavelli would say, the visual person who commands the room emotionally commands the room politically. The 11th law: withhold approval like a king. People chase what they can't easily get. And in every social dynamic, there's one form of currency more powerful than money: emotional approval. If you give it freely, you become forgettable. If you give it sparingly, you become addictive. Here's how to use Machiavellian approval as a tool. Don't reward expected behavior. When someone does what they should do, say nothing. When they exceed expectations, offer either quiet, precise praise and then withdraw. Praise in private, ignore in public. Public silence keeps people hungry. Private approval builds intimacy. This duality confuses people, and confused minds submit faster. Make your validation unpredictable. If people don't know when your praise is coming or why, they become obsessed with earning it. You are now inside their head. The Machiavellian ruler does not flatter. He observes, withholds, and when he finally speaks, it means something. This is how kings control without shouting. They make people crave what only they can give. The 12th law: trigger emotions intentionally, then guide them. Most people manipulate emotions accidentally. You do it on purpose. There is precision, with timing, with cold understanding. Why? Because a person in an emotional state is vulnerable to suggestion. They can be led, redirected, even reprogrammed as long as you know when to strike. Here's how to do it. Trigger mild insecurity. Then offer direction. Make someone feel slightly unsure about their position. Then offer reassurance only if they follow your lead. They now associate security with obedience. Create micro-conflict. A small disagreement, a challenge, a contradiction. Let it stir emotion. Then, when they get defensive, switch to agreement and calmness. This sudden relief bonds them to you. Psychologically, use storytelling to trigger emotion. Then embed a message, a personal story, An emotional example, a moment of tension, and then a moral that aligns with your goal. Emotion makes the message stick. Machiavelli would not cry, but he would make you cry and then offer you a handkerchief with a command written on it. The 13th law, master the emotional echo. Here's one of the most terrifying weapons of emotional domination. Echo, the ability to leave behind a feeling so powerful, so distinct that even in your absence, you're still present. Think about this. Some people leave and you forget them. Others leave and you feel them in every silence. That's the emotional echo. And Machiavellian minds engineer it. Here's how. Leave at emotional peaks. When a casual conversation hits a high tension. Intimacy, revelation, exit shortly after. Your presence becomes linked with intensity. Go silent after giving them something powerful, a compliment, a warning, a favor, a story, then vanish. The mind replays it again and again, amplifying your importance. Build contrast into your presence. Be calm on their chaos. Be chaos in their calm. The contrast etches your presence into their emotional memory. They will associate emotion with you, and that creates addiction. This is how some people become unforgettable. Not because they shout, not because they impress, but because they installed a feeling that no one else could match. The 14th law, make people emotionally dependent on you. The most advanced form of emotional dominance is not fear. It's not seduction. It's emotional addiction. When people feel they cannot function without your presence, your approval, or your emotional validation, here's how to cultivate it. Be the emotional regulator. When they feel too much, you're the calm. When they feel nothing, you bring spark. Over time, they rely on you to stabilize their emotional life. Create unpredictable emotional rewards. Be warm one day, distant the next. Praise unexpectedly. Withdraw without warning. This inconsistency deepens emotional fixation like a slot machine. Reward schedule be their only source of something they need. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's attention. Maybe it's intensity. But if they associate one essential feeling with only you, they become emotionally bound. Machiavelli would never beg for loyalty. He would engineer dependency and watch quietly as his enemies submitted without even realizing they were kneeling. Now comes the final transformation. Emotional sovereignty. The state where no one can manipulate you, where no situation can rattle you, where people submit not because you demand it, but because they can't imagine defying you. This is where detachment becomes invisible rule. The 15th law, outlast every emotional storm. He who is firm and constant will molds the world to himself. Most people are only powerful when things go their way, but the Machiavellian mind becomes even more powerful when tested. Why? Because every emotional storm that others panic over, you endure in silence. And the longer you last, the more they bend. Here's what endurance looks like. When others lash out, you stay calm, even if it takes hours. You don't rush to defend yourself. You let the emotional storm pass. And when it does, you're the one still standing. When people test you, you don't flinch. They ghost you. You go silent longer. They try to guilt trip you. You smile with indifference. Eventually, they learn you can't be moved. You never respond emotionally to emotional manipulation, guilt, rage, tears, begging. You see all of it and wait. People will always expose themselves if you wait long enough. Outlasting emotional pressure doesn't just give you peace. It gives you power because people start seeing you as inevitable, unshakable, a wall they can't move. The 16th law, destroy emotional manipulators with stillness. Here's a brutal truth. Some of the most emotionally intense people are not victims. They are predators. They use emotion to control. They cry to avoid responsibility. They explode to silence you. They overpraise you to gain access. And when it doesn't work, they play the victim. But the Machiavellian mind never bites the bait. Here's how you destroy emotional manipulators without lifting a finger. You do not reward displays of emotional chaos. When someone acts out, you give them no attention, no explanation, no emotional feedback. You let them perform, and then let the silence choke them. You never argue on emotional terms. If they say you don't care about me, you don't say yes, I do. You say, what are the facts? You drag them out of emotion into logic, and they can't survive there. You mirror calmness until they feel their own madness. You stay so still, so composed, they begin to unravel in their own reflection. Over time, emotional manipulators learn a painful truth. You're not like the others. You can't be guilted, baited, or shaken. And that breaks them more than any confrontation ever could. The 17th law: never reveal the depth of your emotional power. This may be the coldest law of all. Yes, you are emotionally disciplined. Yes, you can break people with silence. Yes, you can dominate entire rooms with a look, but never show that you know. Never let people see the full extent of your mastery. Why? Because if they realize you're strategic with your emotions, they'll resist. But if they think you're simply naturally calm or stoic by nature, they'll trust you more and obey you without question. This is how you maintain invisible rule. Play innocent. I just try to stay grounded. I don't like drama. I prefer to listen. Simple phrases, nothing alarming. No one sees the war machine behind the mask. Let others believe they're the emotionally strong ones. You let them rant, cry, or overanalyze, and thank you for being there. They don't realize they're giving you their blueprint. You never explain your silence. You let them wonder. Let them project. Let them feel what they want. Your detachment becomes mystery, and mystery always wins.